start right away. Can we stop using the word filler when it's not filler? Like
I use
like
it
a
in a very,
filler
very
like a
broad
filler episode is in
general.
an anime episode where they just go to the beach and they forget the whole fucking plot. That's filler. Like this actually, like Halsey was
This
like
is
there was a lot of stuff that
exposition.
happened. Yeah. Like this is like, yeah, exactly. It's like exposition. It's slow. It's not filler. Sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah.
The pen is blue.
Sure. Um. Yeah, it's not filler. My bad. But it definitely was a little slower, but in good ways. You have to foresee this happening because last week we had such a action paced episode, where this one more emotionally and psychologically driven, and it was good. It was a solid episode. I think this is my favorite episode without any action in it so far.
Mhm.
I think that the story writing was good, if not decent. Um, there are still some things I did not like about the episode, but not nearly as much as what I've disliked in the past. One thing that I will just start off by saying is I actually think that this show, not the show, but this episode did better because there was no cutbacks between Chief's story arc and what's going on in this area and Quan's. In the previous episodes, I'm not necessarily saying specifically like Quan stinks. I'm just saying with like how they have cut, it always has kind of felt like they like are trying two different stories that just aren't on the same pace, and it's so, like it will halt the show. This episode they did, I think, the smart thing not having that Quan and Soren storyline, because there was so much to tell. And if they would have cut to Quan and Soren, I think it would have robbed what they were trying to do in this episode. And so I applaud them for doing what they did in this episode regarding that. Um, how do you guys feel about not seeing Soren and Quan in this episode?
You can start, Mikey.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point. It was nice just to focus on one storyline. Not seeing Quan and Soren doesn't bug me at all. What it does do is make me nervous for next episode being heavily
I'm
focused
right there
on
with you.
Quan and Soren.
I'm right there with you. I think
It is
it's
what
gonna
it
happen.
is.
Yeah,
How about you, Derek?
it reminds me of like Walking Dead, where it's like, okay, you've got a lot of characters and you've got them kind of separated, so we're gonna just focus on this. Like Maki was gone. It's yeah, they're just rotating them in and out. I wouldn't be shocked, but I also like, oh, that would be really annoying. Again, just release all the episodes at once,
Yeah.
or in two-part like seasons. I would have been okay with this being the end of the first half of the season, and then they release the second block a month later. Do that. Do that even. That's better than
I
once
actually
a
agree
week.
with you. I agree with you there.
But yeah, I think most episode next time we'll be going with the insurrectionists. We'll be seeing that because I mean that's got to come back into play before the whole Halo thing happens.
Yeah.
So
And see, this is the Halo writing that I feel like I am in the universe. Even though like Master Chief's not wearing his armor, the majority, if not, I don't think he's really in his armor at all, other than the
no
beginning of
Quan
the
there.
episode. What's that?
So like so I guess what I'm hearing is like you still have all the same like no helmet and it's not very little action.
No,
It's very
no, no, no,
political.
no, no.
But
That
this one
didn't
didn't
bug
have
me.
Quan all like intercut, so that's why this was good.
That's not the only reason.
Oh no. That's just what like I'm just trying to understand your point.
Part of it, yeah, because it didn't rob from the story that they were telling this episode.
Mhm.
I think the Quan storyline and the Master Chief storyline do not connect yet, and that's why it just feels so odd when they do cut to Quan and the insurrection. Like, yeah, they're going somewhere with it, obviously, and it will go somewhere, but we just haven't really seen that yet. No idea like how that's going to unfold and how that's going to come into play, because personally, this is just me. The insurrection aren't really an issue. Like we're talking about the fate of humanity, and I'm saying like what they're talking about in this episode. Talking about the fate of humanity, talking about Halo Ring, like I don't see on the grander scale how the
Insurrection.
insurrection, yeah, how they are even relevant to what's going on. But hey, like I'd love them to do something cool. I just haven't seen it yet, or I can't predict what they're going to be doing, and so I'm not necessarily excited about it, but I am happy with this episode. It was a solid episode. Just that's my summary for what we'll be talking about. Is I had positive feelings about this episode. Mikey, how did you feel about this episode overall?
Yeah, it was middle of the pack for me. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I'm falling in the camp of like I know where Halo is going. I know this backstory, so it just isn't. I don't feel like they did anything revolutionary to be different from the OG storyline. What's bugging me the most is now I'm starting to see the frustrations of a weak Master Chief just doesn't rub me right. It makes him more human, but it's not what I like to watch. So hopefully that doesn't last incredibly long. But that being said, like I'm still excited for next week's episode. I'm a little nervous, as mentioned before, that Quan and Soren's story is just going to be like a moot point. Maybe it'll be what I hope it will be, which is to show that the Covenant is the big bad, and that even though there's like all this evil going on Madrigal, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this episode, to be honest.
How cool would it be if the Covenant do just show up on Madrigal and just start killing everything?
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that because I don't like Quan. It'd be cool because we have this random story that's happening, and then all of a sudden the Covenant show up and like they're just murdering everyone, and they're like, oh crap, and then like this is a threat. This is a problem. It's not just a raid team that we saw in episode 1. It's a full-on invasion.
I don't know where they're going with the Covenant, so more to come, right?
Eric, how did you feel about this episode overall?
I'm a big fan of Pablo Schreiber. I think he's doing an excellent job as John and Master Chief. I really appreciate. I like that stuff. We talked about it in Moon Knight and things. It's more my style of storytelling, is the more deep psychological stuff. But I recognize that this show has many issues. This episode, there was a lot of interesting blocking choices in the scenes that are weird, right? Like in a normal TV show, like if you have a prisoner character and the outside guard doesn't like the prisoner character, he would come in with someone who's going to make them eat food or something, which is what happens in this episode. And then stuff like the way that scene went down was just really weird. It was oh, she's going to use it. No, she's not. Her little sword finger thing. So it was kind of weird. So there's some little things in the episode where with the blocking that I was like, it's weird that they made that choice. Okay, whatever. It reminded me of that 80s Dune where it's all right, you read the book and that's what you thought. Oh, okay, interesting. So it's okay, it's they're making interesting choices on space stations. Again, it's kind of back to where I was in the first episode, where I was why are they all in ranks, 10 rows of 20, pointing guns at the back of their own soldiers' heads? That doesn't make any sense. That's kind of where we're back at. I have small issues like that now that we've kind of gotten our post-nut clarity from our last episode, because now I'm seeing the show as a TV show again, where it's okay, I'm not hearing, well, I'm also not looking, but I'm not hearing as much really dumb NB behavior out there. So now I'm just seeing those things. This episode was great because John had his connections with Cortana, Maki, the Spartans, UNSC. Halsey's whole scheme is still freaking Cersei Lannister levels of evil. Worse, I think, because it's her own daughter that she fucking hates. At least Cersei loved her kids. Jesus Christ. There's some crazy stuff. And then, on to Halo. Again, boom, here's Halo, and hey, it's not the original song. It's not gonna tickle the pickle of all the gamers, but it is the music, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, it would have been a better, and I know there's copyright issues, and I know I've been following it because I like Marty O'Donnell a lot. I actually believe they've settled, and Marty O'Donnell's going to allow them to use their music for future Halo stuff, which I'm very happy to hear. They need to get it into the show because, like, Halo, part of the reason Halo is so successful, in my opinion, is the music. The music's very iconic. And especially like looking back at Halo 1 Combat Evolved, like it was a really, really awesome game. Don't get me wrong. That music, that soundtrack was phenomenal. A lot of people would, I believe, agree with me there. Now, you guys made a couple points that I want to go back on that I found interesting and that I wanted to discuss regardless. One, Mikey, you said there wasn't really anything substantial that happened in this episode that wasn't, like breaking Halo. The only thing that I noticed that they did different, and I'm actually okay with this, and not a big deal to me, is the Dr. Halsey John storyline of them kind of being combative is interesting to me. I actually kind of like that. In the books, being the book guy myself, Halsey, I believe, I can't remember which book it is exactly, but she eventually gets all the Spartans together and tells them like what happened and why it was the necessity of why she did what she did.
Who
And
who's she telling? Like
the
which?
Spartans.
Yeah, but who?
All the
But,
Spartans.
like Master Chief is with all the other Spartans?
Yes. And they actually agree with her because the big difference that we're seeing, like with the Master Chief in this TV show versus in the books, is the Master Chief, regardless of his past, doesn't care. His only goal is to stop the Covenant, is to save humanity, is to do the next objective. In that way, he is kind of
In the
robotic.
books?
In the books, yes.
Wait,
He doesn't.
he's not like emotional. Like he's just literally he stood there staring. He tilted his head. Like they described
I
him all
think
that.
Halo Infinite did the best job of representing Master Chief from the books. Like he's a soldier that wants to do the mission. That's his objective. He's like the person on a basketball team that is nuts, that like
Right.
all of his time is
Well-
going into practicing and being the best, and like
Well,
that's
John
his life.
here wants to do the mission. He's doing the mission.
Yes, but he's doing a lot more investigating, like, of his past. The past, and I see what you're saying. Yeah, I do see what you're saying because his past, correlates with the mission, sure. But like this
no,
is
no,
more.
no, no, no. He's at like the Covenant showed up and he went, okay, can't kill you right now. I have a job to do.
Right, but he's also salty at like Halsey, and in like the books, that's not him. He wouldn't
He's
be.
the creepy scientist simp character.
No, he just is the soldier that wants to finish
Yeah.
the fight.
There's
Panic.
Well, if you're gonna
no-
ask me, I'm gonna answer honestly, but like I can't tell if you're joking or not.
Well, no, I'm because I haven't read the books, so like you're describing Vanek, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't think we need John to be that stone robotic character.
I'm
We have
not
Vanek for
saying
that.
I'm not saying that's he's a lot like Vanek, yeah, but I'm not saying that's what we need. I'm just saying that is what is different that is happening. And I'll continue, but I know, Mikey, you were saying something.
Oh no, finish your point, and then I know.
My point is I don't mind this Halsey John conversation thing going on, like, not conversation, but like their rivalry, so to speak, going on. Because yeah, like Derek, you pointed out, like Halsey is pretty evil. she's not. I don't know if evil's. She's very, very ambitious. She wants what she wants. Where one thing that with this, like, that is all happening, the thing that one of the things I did not like about this episode came down to two characters, and it actually was John and it was Mackie, and it's the writing of them caring as much as they do about things that they don't know. For example, and this is more John, sorry, John, they're really portraying, that he really remembers like all of his childhood, and he's taking it from like a moralist approach of like, you took me from my family. He's never known a family. His family has always been his Spartans, and they're really, really trying to push this emotional card with him, which I'm just like, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about that. It's fine. I like the confrontation between him and Halsey, but like, I don't know why he cares so much about what they did to him, because he's been indoctrinated for so long that he shouldn't care. So like they haven't really given me a good reason of why he cares as much as he does. Secondly, talking about Makee, the thing that really rubbed me wrong with her, she's fine. Like I'm not a fan of what's happening and why she's there, and I think it's just like, okay, it's whatever. But the thing that really did rub me wrong, and this is just nitpicking, this is more pet peeve, is she behaves like a human. And you might be like, okay, well, yeah, she's a human. But she's been among Covenant her entire life almost. And she's acting and behaving like you would think that she'd be odd. You'd think that she'd be quirky, weird, different. She's not
Have an
acting
accent.
different. Yeah, just
Mhm.
any of it. She's acting like a normal human that's been among humans her entire life, and for the last month she's been with aliens, and now she's back. I mean, look how crazy that one dude was that was, a prisoner among them. I don't know, like, they haven't really shown anything regarding her upbringing other than, like, they treated her pretty good, I guess.
Yeah,
But
she's a
how does
chosen
she
one.
know, like, how humans behave? Because I would imagine the cultures are very, very different, and I don't know, it doesn't feel like very good writing for
You
a
want more?
character. I want more. I do
Yeah.
want more.
Yeah, I would
I,
say it's not bad. It's just incomplete because
yeah,
we just don't know. But
we
yeah,
need
Mikey,
more.
you said you had a point or whatever.
Oh, it was just to go along. So it's two different genres. I finally connected the dots. The books are written more of like a militaristic
Mm,
strategy book, so it doesn't really focus on the emotions nearly as much. It definitely talks about how John feels towards certain missions or like losing Spartans, right? Like he is human and he has human emotions. It's just not nearly as focused on or portrayed. There definitely is like dramatic elements in the books and other canon. That's mainly what I'm gonna say. And yeah, that's just their choice and how they're choosing to write the TV show. I don't think it's necessarily bad.
I agree.
I'm just stuck in that camp that I know where it's going and I'm waiting for it to get there. And yeah, it is what it is.
From a TV perspective, Derek, how'd you feel about the things that I discussed?
That you discussed?
Well, yeah, like, would you like to respond to what I just said?
Just to reiterate your point, you had said that the whole Maki thing is like badly written, and we agreed that it was like more incomplete.
It's a little cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's simple. Yeah. Again,
Go
here
ahead.
comes the pain. Sorry, this isn't Here Comes the Pain. Damn it. Okay, another really good game that you should have for the rest of your life is SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 GM mode. Like you bought storylines. Like I mean, wrestling fans have known for a long time it's fake. So you buy wrestling storylines, and there's always really cheap ones. Like man cheats on girlfriend, and it was like one male, two females. So it was like okay, that's a storyline you could run. That's what I feel like they've done with this show, where it's like they put so much into how it looks that they forgot to get, I would say, directors that know how to block things. I think the directors have a good vision. Like they've talked to Spielberg and they all kind of have a really good vision of kind of a really TV-fied Halo verse. I'm okay with this Halo verse. It doesn't offend
Mhm.
me.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
fine.
okay with all of that. But I just think that like, okay, let's get some creative directors in here. Like we're watching shows like Better Call Saul where the camera angles are different.
Yeah.
Like one scene has like 7 or 8 different camera angles, and they keep it interesting to look at. Whereas this show is really very simply like kind of like what you guys were saying. I
Put
think
the
back in
camera
episode
in a
2, a
room.
sci-fi,
It feels like
yeah,
a sci-fi
sci-fi
show.
going down a sci-fi hallway, right? And it's like sometimes it's like, damn, I feel like it is two different genres, but in a different sense, where it's like there's just too many hands. We need a more clear directive
I agree.
instead of a big, horse by committee
It
type
really feels
situation.
like there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar, and
But I
it's
don't hate
showing.
everything.
Yeah,
It's like Chex Mix, and most of it's pretzels, so it's delicious.
that's fine. Yeah, and that's actually interesting that you said like going down a hallway because that's one thing I wanted to talk about. There's another scene that I just thought was really dumb, even though
We're gonna
the
disagree, but go ahead.
technology is okay, but it's when Chief is interviewing or I guess interrogating Maki and we got is it Parangoski and um Hughes are on these chairs that allow them to
He's interviewing
consciously
Halsey.
consciously put themselves. Is it Halsey?
Yeah, it's not Mikey.
Yeah.
It's Halsey.
Okay. So yeah, it's with Halsey. Sorry.
It's a confrontation.
It's a cool idea. It's a cool idea, but they're literally like a room away. Secondly, like you could do the same thing with a glass
You've
window.
never
like
texted your friend,
hold on,
even
hold
though
on.
they're on the
Let me
couch
finish. Let me finish my
right
point.
next to you.
No, I haven't.
No.
Let me
Yeah.
finish. I
No,
really haven't.
I
Unless
see-
like
I
I'm
see-
unless I'm talking. Crap
I
about
see
someone
where
else.
you're going.
It happens.
The other thing, okay, is something that is as controversial that is being discussed, and like this is two.
Wait, you didn't finish your
main
first
dudes.
thought.
Okay, so finishing my first thought. Yeah, a glass window, like a police glass window.
Does the
could have been
exact
just the same.
thing?
Could have been
Or-
the exact same thing.
Or a
Number two.
camera?
These are two very, very high up there people that have done some really bad things along Halsey. And you would think that they would have guards posted outside, not allowing anyone to come in. And
Oh, I was
Miranda
gonna look
just
that up.
walks
Yeah.
in like it's like the cafeteria. And she's like, oh, I guess I'll join. And then she gets in there. It's like,
But-
hey, you're not allowed to be in this. And Miranda's like, well, I'm staying now, bitch. It's just like, what?
Ooh.
It's
Yeah.
just like, okay,
grown up.
so she can
Calm
just
daddy, no.
she can just get in there, and then it killed me because after the interrogation, Miranda gets out of it, leaves the room, and immediately Chief is like around the corner. I'm like, they're right there. They're literally the next door over. Why? Like if they were like on their ship, or you know, in a facility that way far away, yeah, like that's cool. That's cool technology, but why? Like just look through a window. You
The
don't
trauma.
need that. You
Yeah,
don't need
yeah,
that.
Sci-fi.
Rating
Remember,
because-
this is a
because-
sci-fi.
Yes,
Woo!
because in next few episodes, Miranda is gonna grow close with both Kai and Master Chief
No,
and
and
the
that's
other
cool.
Spartans, and she's gonna grow
that's
to be
real
a
cool.
good character, and her dad's gonna capitulate and be a good character, and they're gonna send Halsey's ass to the moon prison. It's all going to where I remember where the video games were. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
that-
okay,
that's-
now I'm recognizing where everyone is. It was just a
That's
prequel.
cool. I just thought it was like someone really wanting to put in their idea. They didn't think about the set, and it feels like the set is just so small. Feels like okay, they're just whatever. And I think I'm pretty sure that Halsey and her weird lover boy isn't very far away from what's happening too. I think they're still in that facility as well, right?
I think they were way high up, but I don't like. I think they were like in the
Okay.
tower prison. I
That
don't.
one I'm not so sure, but yeah, the everything else that happened in that scene, I thought was really dumb how they wrote it. The scene's fine. I don't mind the scene. It's just like the little tidbits of okay, there's these chair things, even though they're a room next to a room, and anyone can just jump in on these chairs at any time. It's not very secretive. Like this is supposed to
Miranda's
be a
high
top
ranking.
class. Yeah, but I mean,
That's
you would
what I'm
think-
wondering.
you would think her dad or Parengoss would be like, "Hey, don't let anyone in."
I think. They said that they can't do that because it would look suspicious, right? That was like, well, we can't. We're complicit, and she was like, yeah, I know. Like he was gonna shut it down because they were getting too close, so they can't do anything suspicious. They can watch because that's like within the purview of their job, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're behind a locked room, like
I don't think it was locked.
That's my point.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
if
Because
you're
I don't
behind
think it's like
locked room-
it's a secure building, right? Why would it be locked?
right. That's my point, though. Is if it was locked, you wouldn't know what they're doing. And then secondly, like, is Miranda just keeping tabs on them at all times? Like, no, they could be doing their
Do you know
job.
who
They
her
could
mom
go a
is?
different part of the facility. Yeah, I know who her mom is.
Yeah.
Her mom's
but
a nut job.
I can't defend how silly it was that Miranda could just jump into this meeting at a whim.
And they have a
it
line,
was
you're
very
not
silly.
supposed to be in here. Like, why is that there? Yeah. It is what.
Yeah, he was another guy that I went. Wait, is he talking way differently than he was in the past 5 episodes? I was so maybe it's just because he's just started talking instead of like bowing his head and stuff. That's the only other thing he always did. Yeah, that's right, Chief. Like that's all we really heard, and then him bowing his head. We didn't really see much of how he talks. So in this episode, he was like actually captaining and doing shit, and I was so
Yeah.
impressed. I was like, bro, there you go. Even though this is the dumbest thing ever, this
I'm
made
calling
me
it
laugh.
now. And I'm pretty sure, Derek, you'll be able to remember this from the video game references,
Yeah,
but if
go
not,
ahead.
we can go more into detail. I'm calling this now, Mikey, because Keys is involved in this. And when he does die, it's gonna be
What?
because Keys dies in the very first game.
Bum, bum, bum.
When he does die, it's gonna be a self-sacrifice in the sense of like, John, I messed up. Let me make it up to you, kind of sacrifice, and then John will be okay with him. It's gonna happen that way.
I hope not.
I know, but that's the route they're going.
I think, honestly, I think last week I heard a few people go, is this supposed to be Sergeant whatever his name is?
Johnson, no.
Yeah. I
Don't
think,
do
honestly, either you're going to see the TV show combine Johnson with Keys and make Keys stick around for more seasons.
Gotta bring Johnson
and
in,
fill
dude.
that Johnson role in. Or that's Soren, and Soren's just going to be that Johnson character where they bring him in.
Why not just
and
bring
he's
in Johnson?
Why would you get another actor? We're
Because
already paying a bunch
Johnson
of
is
actors
probably in the
millions of dollars per
top
season.
3 best Halo characters in all of Halo.
I understand.
That would
It's
be
just TV stuff.
That would be a very artistic take, and I don't know how much I'd like it.
I don't know how much any Halo fan would like it.
It would be TV stuff. But so here's the thing, though. It's like it's only really Halo that this happens to. Like Batman does this all the time. It's like I think just Halo's a little bit too young right now. Its fans are just. It's still raw. Like those games are still raw.
They're lacking for characters though right now. Like they could use more characters. I don't know why they wouldn't bring it. I think
we didn't even have time for Quan's story in Soren.
Well,
we haven't even met like his wife.
That's bad.
Well,
right?
I just don't want. I don't need more characters, friend.
They have not gone into the Covenant at all.
We need them. We need. Let's I'm in agreement. If we're gonna cut a storyline, the Insurrection one seems the one to cut. Get rid of that so we can focus on the worlds. I don't need more characters.
I'm just saying, if they have a Halo TV show without Sergeant Johnson and it takes place during all of Sergeant Johnson's stuff, it's a mistake.
Yeah,
it's a giant mistake.
Cross that bridge when we get to it. Because right now, like Johnson doesn't have a huge impact in core canon. On Reach, he's kind of just AFK in another area, right? Like he doesn't.
The nice thing is
he doesn't join that fight. He doesn't join that fight, and so right now it wouldn't make sense to introduce Johnson. Kind of like it didn't make sense that they introduced a Brute, but I feel like that was awesome and like not an Easter egg, like a fan to please the fans, right?
That scene was awesome.
So hold up, in the game Reach, where is Chief?
Chief is on the Pillar of Autumn. He's on the ship.
Yeah.
Okay. He's just
in the books. He's doing stuff. No, he's a Spartan.
Yeah. So if we're going off game, I don't know what Chief is doing the entirety of the game, except for the very end. He's already in his cryopod, which is where he ends up at the beginning of Halo 1. He comes out of cryo.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the game perspective of the whole, like, well, this isn't what Chief would be doing. This isn't is anything in the show what Chief would have been doing? Like, is there a Spartan named Kai? Is there a Spartan named Rizzo?
No.
Like, how much of this is not the world that y'all know? I'm assuming quite a bit of it. So again, it's like I just don't well, Chief wouldn't be there. It's like, well,
Silver Team is completely
new. Way different thing.
Makee is completely new. Creepy helper to
I mean, like Keys, right?
New.
Like Keys was only in the first game. If I'm making a TV show,
technically he's in
necessarily. I can probably combine him and Sergeant pretty well, and I can make that one character. Like MCU does this all the time. Moon Knight did this. Like Steven Grant isn't even close to his.
No, because Keys is a much lesser character than Johnson. Johnson is huge. Johnson is
that's my point.
The Robin to Batman.
Keys is a big character in the show, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a way bigger character than he is
in Halo lore. Johnson is way bigger than Keys.
Yes, I understand that.
They do say they're loosely taking it from the games, right? Like from core canon. It's not obviously a direct replica. So I would be really shocked if they combined that character. It'd be like combining Luke and Han Solo. I just don't see it
doesn't
happening.
work. It doesn't work.
I just
it wouldn't even be Luke and Han Solo. It'd be more like Uncle Owen and Han Solo. Like they aren't on the same plane at all.
I think that's actually a really apt comparison because I think I could rewrite Star Wars and just get rid of Uncle Owen completely.
You
Oh,
could get
sure.
rid of Keys, but
That's
you
what I
kinda
mean.
need
Like
him
that's
as
what I mean.
well.
This show is making Keys like a central character. In
I
a
think-
show
and-
perspective, it makes more sense for them to go with a character that their TV audience already likes and knows and loves, because TV people hate when you kill off their characters and bring in new ones. So
But
from a
let
TV
me-
perspective, I could see them combining those roles. I'm just trying to like make
Sure.
it easier for y'all to stomach in season 3 when he starts smoking a cigar and some shit. Okay.
The reason I
Or
think
he's a
Keys is
Flash
as relevant
clone.
as he is actually because of Miranda. Miranda is a little bit more, well, she's a lot more relevant in the games. And one thing is too is Sergeant Johnson actually works underneath Miranda too, which we'll probably see. So I am enthusiastic about that. Originally, he's on Captain Key's ship. He's a part of the first Halo ring, and he's the I think only human. I could be wrong. One of the only humans that survive the ring, other than Master Chief.
At this point, like to Derek's point, like anything could happen. Really,
Yeah.
We have a human in the Covenant, so if
like
they,
the Keystones, they never like transported you to visually
No,
go to the Halo,
that-
right? I don't remember that in the games at all.
Nope.
No, this is
or
all-
anywhere. This is
all,
and that's
yeah.
their like that's I want to see their story. I want to see where they're going with it before I come out and say like, oh, I just absolutely hated that, because I right now I don't absolutely hate this TV show. I don't think it's that bad. It's
don't
just
hate the
I
show.
am tainted by all the other stuff that I know, and we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And there's cool things coming up. I just have to be patient and wait for it.
I am
'Cause
right
this
there
is-
with you.
This is pretty, like, I don't want to use the word faithful, but there is a lot of hints to the Fall of Reach, the book, in this TV show.
Yeah.
Like you can find like a good example is in this we get confirmed that ONI created defective clones to send back to have them die so that parents didn't come to look for their children. Right, and that's directly out of Fall of Reach. So that is a carbon copy, which is great, right? And that's why I'm fine with it, and it's cool.
It's good writing.
I'm just waiting for it to get cooler. Really, I think my biggest issue is that I don't know enough about the Covenant, and I would like to. And maybe
But
that is
yeah,
why Maki
they
is
really
with
need to
UNSC
make
now.
them more of a threat.
I feel like, honestly, you remember It Chapter 1, but it was just called It until you actually watch the movie, and then it's like, boom, Chapter 1. I would not be shocked if at like the end of Episode 9, this thing goes Halo, the Fall of Reach, and we watch Reach get destroyed. Or like we have watched Reach get destroyed. Right? Like I feel like this first season is a pretty good depiction of the Fall of Reach, of how humanity loses in sense. There's only 3 more episodes to do so maybe it might actually take 2 or a season and a half. But yeah, this is following a good pace of like setting up humanity, introducing the Covenant. Hopefully we get a little bit more, and then the main mission that humanity has here. I don't feel the galactic threat is quite there yet. But the Covenant show up and
doing that shit.
Yeah,
And it pissed me off. It was a lot of people's favorite storyline. It was my least favorite for that exact reason. So I feel your pain. It was
Which
that
one?
bullshit. They're coming from over the North Wall, and it's like every
the
season it
White
was
Walkers.
like, where the fuck are they? So I feel you. It's like I get. Yeah,
I mean-
I can understand that.
I think you're pretty close along with us. You know what the Covenant are. You know how badass they are in the games, right? And like, if I were to ask you who is the main antagonist in the Halo games, what would be your response? Or what faction is the main antagonist?
In my head, like what the most popular is, it's elites and or Covenant, right?
Yeah, the Covenant, exactly. And who
yeah,
is the
it's
main
like-
The
protagonist,
aliens. Yep.
Right, and then the protagonist would be Master Chief and friends.
right? Humanity.
Yeah.
So, and I think you can
but
say
overall, I
that for
would
this
say
TV
Flood.
show. Oh yeah, the Flood definitely.
Yeah.
Becomes it, right? And I think they're setting up the Covenant to be the main antagonist. It's just we're not there yet. I'm beating a dead horse.
I can't wait for Flood, because if they're going with mature themes in this, the Flood is going to be fucking awesome.
Already done. I mean, so I kind of want to talk about the episode a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right when you flash, and then you get John holding the hand of Kai. Like, I know it's like emotional and whatever, but it's really good because it's like,
Kai,
what other TV show is showing like, yeah, this is war. Wake up.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
it's just not what you usually see. You see people bandaged with some blood.
And they're
You don't see
recovering, yeah.
people like freaking wailing. like that, and that's some real shit. I love that direction, right?
Mhm.
That's like some of the good stuff that they put in. It's like, ooh, this is really, really good. And I love all that. I want more of that kind of more realistic war stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, like the repercussions.
Now,
The
Mikey, you're
realistic-
reading the books right now, right?
Yeah.
One thing I would like that I haven't seen at all is more relationships between Chief and specific Marines that he befriends. Even though most of the time in the books, like they die off or it's because they're in a situation.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like I'm going to use an example. It's the first that comes to mind. I'm sorry, I know it's not the most popular movie, but in the movie James Cameron's Avatar, you know, what's her name? The pilot, the helicopter pilot. She's in all the Fast movies.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes, Michelle Rodriguez. Like she's kind of a side character, a Marine, like a storyline going on that. I would like a storyline with a Marine in here somewhere.
That black
Because
dude, that black guard that was like, I don't trust her.
yeah,
Bro,
someone.
you're the first smart human we've met in this entire show. Get him up there. Make him Johnson.
Yeah.
I would like some more of the perspective of the Marines, like with Spartans and stuff like that. Not talking about how that scene wasn't good from last week. You know, Master Chief going crazy and killing lots of things. But it would have even been better. Like, can you imagine if there were Marines that we've seen and like they're not fighting nearly as good as him? We'll use Kai for example. Like if Kai was just a standard Marine, you know, it didn't have to happen. The story was fine. But like I want more future episodes of relationships of these characters among their comrades. Where right now the Marines are just like cannon fodder. They're just there. It would be nice to have some representation there. I think it's really lacking. I liked how Keys was on the battlefield though. That was cool. So that's good.
But not
that's
giving
why, I think,
any commands.
oh, I know. That's why I think Sergeant Johnson is like pinnacle. Like we need that Marine perspective.
He was giving commands. I was gonna say that, but you come out. Okay, he was giving commands, but go ahead, finish your point. He was giving commands. I'm gonna try to remember it. Go.
That's really my point.
Okay. Okay, there's another funny thing that made me laugh, okay? Last week, right, he was just kind of shooting, doing stuff. You guys say he wasn't doing commands. I think I agree with that, but it was awesome seeing him like have explosions happen near his body. It was hilarious.
Oh, he takes on a warthog.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he tells that captain, or sergeant, you're right, at the very beginning.
Yeah, and it like blows up in his face.
And then
it's
it
nuts.
Blows up.
Yeah, it's so cool. That. And he powers through it. It was awesome. And they all have battle damage still this episode. It's awesome. But in this episode, they're like, okay.
Oh, I love the opening of this episode. But yeah, keep going.
I think they like were looking for. They're like, she said this thing.
The planet,
we're gonna go check here. What's in this district? And they're like, look for it there. Look for it there. And there's like 50 people clicking on computers and shit to find this place. And then later in the episode, there was nothing in that zone. And I went, why would you name a zone with nothing in it?
Yeah.
And it was very odd. So I was like, oh my goodness, that was funny, but I liked it because it's like, oh good, at least Keys is doing stuff. Because
I actually think you missed it
all season.
I think you both missed it. There is stuff in that zone. They talk about it, but there's no Goldilocks planets in that zone. He even specifically says, "Find me my Goldilocks."
Yeah, I don't know if that's scientifically right. That because Goldilocks is for us. I don't know if grunts breathe our air or the Lingoku or shit.
They breathe.
The Goldilocks refers to planets that can maintain life.
Right. I just don't know the physiology of aliens.
The grunts are the only weird ones. Yeah, the grunts are the only weird ones where they actually have to live off. I think it's methane. That's why they wear their breather masks. But like Singhili, they could live on Earth. Humans could be on Singhili as well.
Regardless, again, the different genres, right? They don't have tech that could just instantly do this by a calculation, but they do have the tech to Professor Xavier Magneto themselves into the room.
Yes.
So those are the like inconsistencies that I agree with. I like both of those scenes, but they're just like they feel like they were directed by two different people. That's all.
I was half expecting someone to have binoculars looking out the window. Telescope. I did want to say, I hope to hell, if they're going to copy Star Wars, please don't do the Force dyad nonsense. Why?
What is
By
that?
the
Is that
way,
the
Kylo Ren and Rey had a connection through the Force, and it was so powerful
like
that they
that
were a
either.
dyad, and now we're getting a hint of that with Maquis and Chief.
yeah?
No,
I
I
Yeah, that's
I
gonna be
don't.
interesting. I wonder where that's gonna go.
yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
sound neckbeardy, but I don't like how they're making Master Chief a special one. I'd rather him just uncover this crazy
Did
thing because he's already special. But like
did
I don't like the chosen one idea. I don't
am
like
I
that at all.
am I crazy? Did either of you feel like there was sexual tension between them on the Halo ring?
Oh yeah,
Did you
they
pick up on
they
that,
gonna
Derek?
bang. They gonna bang.
I rewatched it and I went, yeah, you could, but it also could not be, right? Like,
Right.
because it's such a weird thing to do. You almost die, and then you are probably thinking that you are dead, and you're on this crazy world, weird world, and you turn and you see another like human. Like, okay, like they could
Yeah,
play it
I
off
just
like I just wanted to see if you were real. Because I mean, it would be weird to me if at the beginning of the episode he goes, "I'd fucking kill you." To okay, now
I'm
because
gonna
you're special like me, let's bone. Like it would be
yeah,
really
let's
weird. There needs to
recreate.
be more story for me to believe it. So I don't see it being like something to write off because okay, Maki might turn into a good character. Who knows? She might like
Might.
realize that
Haven't
humanity's
seen
pretty
it
dope.
yet.
Maybe she'll go back and overhear Prophet Mercy say some messed up shit like, "Oh, we're gonna kill all of them and fuck this blessed one." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
anything could happen. Who knows? I have no clue.
Yeah, I swear there was a moment where they almost kissed, or it looked like Chief was gonna go
He
in for a
touches her
kiss.
cheek.
Yeah. That's
And
that's
just
what
to
I'm
clarify,
referring
because
to.
this is an ass man show, her face cheek.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't touch her butt cheek. Touches her face.
Yeah,
More of a sign of
it's,
endearment.
it's
Not,
gonna be interesting to see where they're going with it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Because it's him having like a seizure or whatever when he's grabbing the stone means that she is simultaneously is having the exact same experience. They're 2 in a billion, right? Like there definitely is a significance that they
So-
are unique together.
I would rather see more of an intriguing relationship between Chief and Cortana. I know a lot of people
Oh my
like talk
God.
about. No, let me finish because I know a lot of people
Every time
like
I
on
asked
the
this
internet.
question, I was laughed at every single time.
Let me finish. I know a lot of people on the internet and stuff like, yeah, there's a lot of like, fan fiction, whatever stuff. But the thing that they actually do really, really well in the games and in the movie is Chief is by himself for a very long time with the only like source of friendship, companionship as Cortana. I don't think he's sexually attracted to her at all. Okay, but I do think that they have a relationship to a point where like he genuinely cares for her. I would much rather see that than this McKee thing. I don't like the McKee thing.
Yeah, but we get if they make a lot of seasons, we're going to have that because eventually they'll be killed off, and it will be Chief and Cortana.
I hope so.
I think you'll have Chief and Cortana pretty friendly by the end of the season.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's the arc of the season for those two.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I just want to clarify, I'm not wanting like anything like physically relationship between them. I like that aspect that, they are companions and they have been through a lot with each other, and that is why he cares about her because that's the good writing of the robot version of Chief is he's designed not to have these kind of feelings, but he gains these feelings over time that he can't even express himself. And it shows it really, really well in Halo 4, especially at the end, when Lasky's talking to him. Lasky's like, that's what makes us human, Chief. Like, we're human. It's okay. We're not machines. And, Chief has a moment. I love that scene a lot because they earn it. This is just like, we're sprinting. We want you to see the Chief as this way. It's fine. It's just, I would have liked a little bit more build up. I would have liked a little bit more reason for why he's doing what he's doing, other than like he's just having these visions that are just accelerating the show so fast that like this is where we're at now.
So if Maquis touches it, does that mean Chief then starts having a seizure?
So,
Yeah.
okay, here's my explanation to the tech as I understand it from what I've seen. If someone with a specific genetic marker, we thought it was maybe like Spartans because they were augmented, maybe could have done it. But then, like episode 2, they ruled that out. So it's not Spartans, it's just people with genetic marker. Okay, now we've kind of confirmed that in this episode because she has that genetic marker. Okay, still don't know what that is. I'm not a science person. I'm just like a logic person. Chief touches the thing, and the tech is so advanced that it's almost like Cortana-esque, where it can just fuse itself with the human, right? And then plot reasons, that tech helps the human, right? It's the only thing that makes sense if you think about the first episode, where he touches it and it knocks out all the power except for his ship, it powers it up.
Right.
It's just space magic, right? It's space alien magic tech. So maybe I guess I would be saying yes, they have a midi-chlorian and they are Jedi, and that's why they can do this. And that's it. It just, I mean, with Maki being kind of written like this, it just makes me think that she's going to be a multi-season character. Whether she's a villain for a bit and then turns to a good person, who knows? Or just like a captured villain, who knows? I just don't see her dying off yet because, yeah, we haven't seen too much from her.
Because the Covenant lingers around for quite a lot. I mean, they still are. There's fractions of it in core canon. So she could very easily just be the prophet that keeps them going, right? Like, yeah.
I hope not, man. I don't want Covenant following a human.
They already are.
They're not following her. They're allowing her to do their will.
They're following her to the relics, so
So yeah, if we're talking about the Sing Haley, yeah, but they're only doing that because that's the will of the prophets. Well, it's like their indoctrinated beliefs of
right. She's not. I'm not saying she's like the ruler or the director of the Covenant. I don't know. I
know because like this is Landon's what I want, and I know that TV show budget, etc., CGI expensive, right? But like there are some really cool Covenant characters. I'm not even talking about the Arbiter that would be fantastic protagonists, and these races, like you could create a really fantastic. I mean, we saw it in Infinite. The Brutes are awesome. We've seen the Brutes be awesome in Halo 2 as well. We've seen awesome elites, and we've seen really, really fun stories. Well, I've read fun stories about like the Jackals and humans working together because like they're pirates and stuff, and like Jackals are a whole different animal. But I don't know. I wouldn't like a main protagonist being a human leading Covenant. I think that's really cheap to the Covenant. And if they're going to do the Covenant right, they've and this is just the Covenant, not the alien species. The Covenant have got to be being led by prophets. Like it's got to be them. It wouldn't make sense otherwise.
After the prophets go, who leads them?
The Covenant breaks apart.
And then
the
like
Covenant
take over, right?
Well, short story. No, there's a guy named Jewel Adama who's a Singheili guy, and he is keeping the Covenant
like male alien.
Yeah, okay. An elite leading, and his name's Jewel Adama. He's kind of like a crazy fascist version.
Oh, that sounds like what's his name?
That's Halo 5, isn't it?
Archer.
Yeah,
Venture,
it's Halo 4, Halo 5. And the Arbiter is leading. The Arbiter breaks off with a bunch of elites, and like some grunts go with them. Some of the races go with them. They, are more like we're going back to being just Singheili. We're not part of the Covenant, so like we're going to be the Blades of Singheili. And then they have their civil war between the Covenant and the Singheili. The Covenant eventually like die off. They're not really a thing, especially when Jewel Adama dies, and I think that's Halo 5. But then it's more like in Halo Infinite, you have these sub-factions like the Fallen. Is it the Fallen? Is that their name? The Brutes. These Brutes. That
talking about Atriox's people?
Yeah. What's their group called?
Oh, I cannot think of it.
The
Scourge, the Revengers, the
Yeah,
Something.
it's
It's
something
not.
along the lines of the Fallen.
Yeah, they basically had their own arbiter moments with the
Order.
prophets, and they
The
started their own
Banished.
faction. The Banished, that's them. So like they're like, okay, we're not going to be indoctrinated. It'd be like if Chief like broke off the UNSC and started his own thing. And they're really interesting too. So like you can do a lot of things with these alien species. It doesn't just have to be the Covenant. I think they should be the Covenant for a while, for sure. But yeah, I mean Tartarus, awesome. I hope that was Tartarus that came down. That would be cool if it was. It didn't really
But is
look
that
like
this
him.
timeline?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, I
No.
mean,
no.
what do you mean by timeline?
The brutes are still in prison. If you're talking about core canon right now, the brutes
Right.
are imprisoned by the Covenant.
Right. So I guess what I wouldn't want
Are
to do
they?
is like go, hey,
'Cause
here's
I thought
Tartarus.
Tartarus still does their will during Halo 1.
None that I can remember.
From my understanding, the brutes aren't in Halo 1 at all, but like they're still doing the will of the. They're not really liked, but they're like Tartarus is a chieftain that is being used by the prophets, and that's how they
It could
introduce
be.
him in Halo 2. But I could be completely wrong. I don't recall them ever being like in prison.
Okay. So for like the TV show, like you're saying you want that to be Tartarus?
I think it would have been cool if like,
I
this
disagree.
big bad. Okay,
He's gonna be dead at the end of the season.
okay,
He's gonna die. He has to have a rematch with Master Chief. TV
yeah,
logic.
sure. No, that's fine. If that's the route they're going, then yeah, I don't want that to be Tartarus. It could
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
some brute, and it didn't look like Tartarus at all. Grab hammers are cool though. Like that was a really really cool scene. Loved it. I like how gory they're getting too. Take note, 343 with your video games. Like T is fine, but that's awesome. A jackal being blown in half. But we're talking about episode 6. So going back to episode 6, I didn't mind Master Chief. Like I've accepted Chief as a human being. He's not always going to be in his armor. Fine. I didn't mind him not being in his armor this episode.
Why it was a dangerous situation.
Not really.
She was a prisoner.
Yeah, but they're in like I'm looking at it as like a Navy SEAL. They went and got people. They bring them in. Like Navy SEAL isn't going to be decked out in all his gear when they're interrogating.
Mm-hmm.
They're on their base. You know, they're on home territory. At least he's not wearing civilian clothes. That bugged me. But the scenes this week were fine. I think I talked about my nitpicking. I'm actually really happy that Quan wasn't in this episode, not because I don't like that character, just because I think it would have derailed this episode and wouldn't have helped it. Halsey is really, really manipulative and scary, and that's fine. I liked the scene of Master Chief challenging Halsey and Cortana. That's fine. It's different, but it's fine. It's a solid episode. It's a solid episode. It's fine. It makes me worry about next week's episode being an entire episode for Quan. But maybe they can change my opinion. What's going on there? Maybe something awesome happens. I don't know. I just feel like every time we see them, it's a waste of time.
It's gonna be I would think it would be hilarious. Walking Dead again did this shit, but we just cut back and she's just like pointing the gun. And like it's like now nighttime and she's just not yet pulled the trigger. I want to see like a long time gap of her sitting there stupidly pointing the gun at him, even though he's clearly knocked the F out.
How cool would
Yeah.
it be if that's the last scene we see of them this season?
No,
I'd be
not
okay
cool.
with
I
that.
like Soren.
Well, I want Soren to live too.
Well, I want Soren around. I like Soren. I like even the assassin. I like Fincher. Quan is kind of annoying, but Soren's there, I guess. I like some of those characters. I just don't like Quan being crazy. It's weird.
That's fair. Is there anything else about this episode that I'm missing? I think. We haven't talked about Silver Team. So Kai, she's in on it. Obviously, Master Chief is in on it with the things on their back. Do we
You can't keep it
foresee?
secret.
Yeah. Do we
She's like-
foresee the Spartans clashing with Spartans?
Oh no. At least not in like a like I'm actually gonna kill you. They might like arrest them. Like that might happen. I doubt it though, because they already kind of did that in the first episode. Like 3 episodes left. No, we don't got time for that.
I wonder if they're gonna go like a Star Wars route with the clones and their chips in their head.
Oh yeah, they'll turn up their evil rating like they did in that Good Batch show.
Execute Order 66.
How come we weren't affected, Rex? Oh, we took our chips out. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Right, it's pretty close.
I agree with your Marine stories. I just wish they would do that with Silver Team instead right now. Like, it was
I agree.
cool to see Silver Team do a mission one time in the beginning. I guess you can kind of count the attack on Eridanus as a mission, but like it would be awesome to see them grow together on a mission that they're setting out.
Here's a
But
question.
I don't know if we're gonna get that because everything's going cuckoo bananas right now with the Spartans.
Here's a question. Can either of you tell me the name of the female Spartan that's not Kai?
Riz.
Okay, I'm happy you do know that. Cool. Riz and Vanek, yeah, they're very lukewarm. I think there's a lot of potential, but like they're not giving them any time to be significant. I like
Nerds.
Vanek just because he's freaking a huge Spartan that's scary and awesome. But
They're
like
boring.
other than that, they're boring. Exactly. They're
Do you-
very boring.
Wrestling. Ready? Boom. You guys remember Kurt Angle?
No.
I know the name.
We're not.
All right. Kurt Angle was the Olympic gold medalist. So he was like a good guy, but he was like, don't do drugs, don't have sex. Like he was like the annoying good guy during the Attitude Era where it was like debauchery and stuff. So he was the fish out of water. He's got good traits, but in that world that makes him a bad guy. Anyway, he would come out and he would go, no swearing. This is blah, 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 blah. Like, and he would just be very like to the point and very like square. That's Riz and Vanek in this episode. They were talking so much about the Spartan laser that I went, shut up. Shut up.
So
Shut-
it has
Shh.
five shots?
right? Because that's like the game.
I was like, oh, let's talk about something interesting. Fuck, they're fucking boring. That's how I felt. I was with Kai in that moment. Although she felt sad, I guess. She was like, she feels a little left out. But me, I would have been like, oh my god, I can't with these people.
Oh, she'll be fine. I think Kai will die.
No, not Kai. She's my boo.
I know. I think she's dead. She knows too much.
The best part of it
Something's
is
gonna happen.
like all the Spartans don't have to die for core canon. And anyone who says different is just I guess game canon. But yes, there's multiple Spartans throughout multiple books. Hell, there could be Spartans on Halo Infinite.
They
just don't know.
referenced Grey Team last week.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
love
so
to see
it's-
Grey Team. They're hardcore. They're really cool.
It's gonna
Really
be...
cool. And that would be interesting, like, side stuff. That's what they should be doing. Instead of this Kai thing, they should have, like, an entire other Spartan team doing stuff.
No more characters. None.
Not this season, right?
No, we already got 3. We got 3 new characters in this one. Those 3 random people
Yeah.
who were like, we're
Monkey.
bad guys. Okay. Is that Oni? Are they Oni?
Oh, I hated that scene. I thought that scene was written so stupid.
Oh, the ones that were like interrogating Paragoski?
Yeah, like,
Hey,
yeah.
They're on
you
the
know that
council.
thing you're chasing,
whatever
and
the
you
hell
know
the
how we're in
council is.
war against for the survival of our species. Yeah, your funding's gonna be cut because
I don't know if they're
Are they
ONI.
incorporating?
They're
we're
yeah, they're
spending
gonna
so much resources on something
They're-
that might
they were-
not exist.
the threat was they're gonna take the Spartans from ONI and give them to the UNSC.
Yeah.
The shifting power with
Didn't
the
they do that?
Spartans.
Didn't they give Miranda Miranda is in charge now of the Spartans?
Yeah.
Did
Yep.
they do that?
They
Okay, yeah, that's
exiled
what I
also.
thought. Yeah.
If I understood this episode correctly,
Yeah.
Miranda
Which
is
makes
going
sense.
to take,
Yeah. You got
because
to get rid of
she
Halsey.
gets Halsey's lab. So yeah, I think Miranda is now head of the Spartan Section 3, I think is what they refer as. And I was wrong. The Jerohani were not in prison. The brutes. I don't know what. There must be one faction that was, and they were on Harvest during this timeline, and they were also involved in the Fall of Reach. So it's not lore breaking that a brute showed up.
Derek, you want to know how the Covenant Human War starts? You're gonna like this. I want you to imagine
Bugs.
Sergeant Johnson,
Okay.
and a couple other Marines, and there's
And they're being
aliens.
racist.
They discover aliens. Aliens come down in a phantom. Okay, and there's
And
a
then they're
couple
not
grunts. No, just listen.
That's
There's
how you cure racism. But go ahead.
There's a couple grunts. Well, I think in this case it'd be speciest.
No. That's what I mean. Yeah, because now we wouldn't care about other humans being different shades. We wouldn't. That wouldn't matter. We go, oh, that
Right.
thing doesn't even have a penis.
Right.
Or does it?
Or it does. Maybe he has two. Anyways, they come down on there. They're like, "Oh, this is so cool! Like first contact, awesome, woo!" And Harvest is literally, I imagine it as a farm planet of like just wheat. There's nothing there. Okay. They come down though, and it's a brute. It's been a while since I've read the book, Mikey. If you read it sooner, correct me.
I haven't gotten to
more
Harvest
recently.
yet.
But it's a brute and some like grunts and stuff. They come down. They're playing nice. You know, like they're trying to communicate with each other. And then the brute,
Mars
the,
attack.
the brute draws a circle in the dirt, and he's like,
Oh wow, it is Mars attacks.
And then Sergeant Johnson, I don't know if it's Sergeant Johnson, but someone like gives the brute like a watermelon, and
Like
the
the
brute
dove
gets
in Mars
really
Attacks.
angry.
I
And
like
I can't
banana.
remember what
wrote this book? They
happens.
probably stole it.
Oh, it's Contact Harvest is awesome, but I don't remember what happens after that point. But basically, the war starts off of misunderstanding. They're there to look for the Oracle, so they drew the circle of the monitors, right? But I don't know. I don't know what happens. Like the brute gets like upset or something, and then a Marine shoots, and that's how the war starts. Really, really dumb. But I thought it'd be funny to bring it up.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they give him a watermelon. But yeah, that scene with the
Never
three
mind.
super evil, we're elite people.
Council.
It's all dumb writing. I thought that writing was so dumb because like, okay, we're in a fight for our survival as humans. Okay, what's the plan? We're gonna take away your funding of the project that's saving us and give it to UNSC.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine, sure. But
They're
then
shifting
we're
power.
also they're shifting power. Parangoski, we're gonna cut you off too, your entire department because we're
He's not
putting
cut.
money into something that you're chasing, something that you don't even know exists. Okay, well, what's the plan otherwise? Like, give us a better solution. And then on top of that, like, funding shouldn't matter at this point. Like, this is survival of humanity. Put money in everything. Like, if there's these artifacts and stuff, yeah, 100%, we want those. If they're going for those, we want them too. I didn't like it. I thought that scene was really, really dumb.
Okay. Yeah. I think the three characters are weird. Like they're like I feel like they're just Covenant bait. Like they feel like not real characters to me. They feel too watered down, but they're telling me that they're important. I don't know. I feel like by the end of the season, this planet's getting glassed, and those three are the people who are going to be looking out the window as it approaches.
We're
them and
idiots.
do nothing. Yeah. That's what they feel like to me. It
I
feels
was
to me
wrong.
like creepy simp, Aiden guy. Yeah.
He is
I feel like
creep.
he is gonna get sorted by what's her face. That's gonna happen. And then
Monkey.
and then I think Halsey gets sent to that moon planet to remotely help Chief and Miranda Keyes do their shit.
Wouldn't it be fingered?
What?
It's
The
just
sword.
a finger.
The sword
It's
finger.
little letter opener.
Yeah. Okay.
She's going finger.
Well, there you go. Yeah. But I would expect maybe next episode it'll be like 40 minutes Quan, Soren, and maybe 7 or 8 of Master Chief going, oh shoot, she broke out and she's gone.
Yep.
Well, anything else to discuss about this episode? Not
think so.
really, no.
No,
It
I'm
was
excited.
solid.
Yeah, it was solid. It was good.
Why don't we go to final verdicts? Derek, final verdict.
7-8. Haven't really even thought about it, but 7-8 is kind of where it's at. Like it's good, but I mean, yeah, not much happened. A lot of the blocking was really weird again. Felt like we were back in episode 1. So yeah, it is 7.8.
All right, Mikey, how'd you feel?
It's middle 5.
5?
Not good, not bad. It's there.
Yeah, I'm in between a 5 and a 6, and I always round up, so 6. It's fine. It's better. It's more quality. I would even say like it might be a 7. It's probably between a 6 and a 7. I don't know if it's low 6 or high 6.
I'm trying not. We should round up to 10.
I'm just gonna stay at 6.
That's
I'm gonna say 6 because there are a couple little things I really didn't like. It's fine. The story writing is getting better in some places and getting worse in other places. Not worse, just it's not good.
I want to go watch that Keys scene again of him just. You
Everybody,
look there. Look, you look
out of
there,
binoculars.
and you look there. Okay,
that was a funny scene. Other than that, yeah, we have 3 more episodes. The Halo ring was awesome. It's a shame that they couldn't play the Halo music. I understand why they couldn't, but I do think that for the nostalgic reasons alone, it would boost my rating. I love Halo. I love Halo, and one reason I didn't like Halo 4 as much as I liked the other games is they didn't have Marty. They didn't have Marty composing, and half of the identity of Halo is its music. So hopefully that they can start getting some more of those themes that we recognize, because imagine Star Wars without Star Wars music. It's not the same. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for me. Thank you guys for hanging out, participating.